Preston and Liv, it's good to see you guys again.
Jackson, you too. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking a couple minutes to share your experience with financial coaching through my program. But would love if you just took a second to maybe introduce yourselves, your family situation, that kind of thing.
I'm Liv. This is Preston, and I'm actually an English teacher online right now, and we have one little girl.
And I graduated from college a year or so ago, and then started in a tech startup, doing sales and business automation. But I recently quit that job to move across the country, so I'm currently looking for a new role.
Nice. Awesome. And I know it was a little bit different for your situation because Preston, you had originally reached out to me asking about work opportunities out here on the East Coast. And then I had kind of invited you to participate in financial coaching. But what was it that appealed to you or that you guys agreed to go ahead and do it?
So in the past, Jake and Preston and I have maybe not seen eye to eye in our financial conversations, and sometimes there was some tension. Recently, we've gotten much better at that, but we felt like a mediator would be good for us to have kind of another perspective. And it definitely was a helpful perspective to have in our conversation. Mm-hmm.
Good. That's awesome. And so you talked about how, like, me being a mediator was something that was helpful as you guys were working through different money perspectives. We talked a lot about that through coaching, how you'd been raised in different situations and that had influenced some of the interactions that you had throughout your marriage related to money and other financial related topics. But what would you say was the most valuable part of coaching?
Yeah, I think for me, kind of the thinking more long term, kind of looking for a kind of life vision, I found particularly helpful. I feel like I've always had a fairly good understanding of finances generally. Like my mindset around finances, I find to be pretty sound. Obviously, we disagree in certain things, so it's maybe not always super sound. But I think so. Yeah, I think for me, looking kind of the long term goals. Thinking about the future, I found most interesting and most insightful for me.
Yeah. I found it really helpful learning that the way I look at money, which is more a spender perspective, it actually has some good things to it. So that's what was helpful for me, is to see how my perspective is also positive and can bring stuff to
Valid.
the table. It's valid. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're touching on something really important there, Liv, is that a lot of times at least one person in the relationship feels some guilt because of maybe their behaviors. And then, like Preston mentioned, as you work with me, I'm able to help you develop a long-term vision of where you want to go. And
Yeah.
so then both of your actions, although you may make independent, different decisions from each other, both of your actions are in line with that vision and that plan that you've created together.
Yes.
That's awesome. So what progress have you seen as a result? Now you're on the other side. We talked about what it looked like when you started. Now you've finished the program. What progress have you guys seen in your marriage and in your personal finances?
The biggest thing is we had the opportunity, like Preston said, to look into our future. So I think we both have a better understanding since we had that conversation of where we want to go and specific things that we want to do for the future, like purchasing a car or a home. I wasn't fully aware of what Preston felt about that until we really talked about it. So we're more aligned, I think, in our moving forward. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it was interesting to see, and I remember kind of this specific example from our coaching, if you don't mind me sharing. One of the topics you guys were interested in was purchasing a second vehicle.
Yeah.
And there was like initially this desire to have like a nice SUV, like a mom car. And then Preston was on the other spectrum, like, let's just get something that's really small, cheap, and reliable. And we were able to find a middle ground where you were both satisfied. And I remember at the end, Liv, you had mentioned that through coaching, you'd realized what was more important to you at this point was spending money on things that help to strengthen your relationship. So like going on dates together, having meaningful experiences together. And you were actually willing to kind of put a pause on purchasing an SUV and came into alignment with Preston. Hey, let's get just something that's reliable for now. We can still have that as a long-term goal to get a bigger SUV. But for now, what's more important to me is these other areas of our financial plan.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to see you guys. Obviously, we talked about it a little bit in coaching, but mostly it was you working together to come to that decision and making that decision on your own in between our calls.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, those are the questions that I had for you guys today. Thank you so much for taking a little bit of time to share your experience. Is there anything else you would share with someone who might be considering working with me?
Okay. One thing I really loved about working with you, Jackson, is I felt really comfortable sharing. Sometimes I get nervous because I feel guilty, but you made me feel like it was okay and I could share without feeling guilty. And I definitely felt comfortable. So you're easy to talk to, and that was a big positive for me.
And the thing I would say to someone potentially watching this would be that Jackson's going to be well prepared. He's going to take the time to prepare for your circumstances. He's going to work hard to figure out your circumstances, what could be valuable to you. He's going to prepare well for the times when you connect. So there's going to be that pre-work, that pre-thought, that kind of personalization, and again, he's just going to work hard to make it a particularly valuable experience for you, for sure. So it's something you can definitely count on. It'll be well thought out, well prepared. There'll be specific exercises for you to do that will be well thought out. And so no hesitations going into it. Do it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, guys. Appreciate your time today.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Jackson.
Jackson.